Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to the second day of Battlebond previews. We have a lot of cards to look at today. As you can see from the title screen here, some big reprints in this set, especially for Commander fans. You're going to want to see these if you play Commander. Now, quickly before we get started, though, just a really fast reminder. If you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do here at the channel, one of which is our Patreon page. You're also going to find links to some products on Amazon if you make any purchases on Amazon. Actually, no matter what it is, once you go through that link, we'll get a small percentage. And finally, Flipside Gaming, still offering a promo code for our viewers, and they have some exclusive Richard Kane Ferguson playmats. If you're a fan of some of the old school Legends from the original Legends set, you'll want to check those out. And as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to all the viewers. Y'all make the channel what it is. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Regna the Redeemer and Crave the Unredeemed. Okay, this is a classic mismatch comedy, isn't it, for these two partners with cards? And I won't go through all of the mechanic rules today because we did that yesterday, so I'll link that video at the end in case you missed it, but we'll talk about the cards. We'll begin with Regna the Redeemer. White and 5, legendary creature, angel. This is a rare, as a matter of fact, both are. 4/4, partners with Crave the Unredeemed. Flying. At the beginning of each end step, if your team gained life this turn, create 2 1/1 white warrior creature tokens. Crave the Unredeemed. Black and 4, legendary creature, demon, rare. 3/3, partners with Regna the Redeemer. Pay black, sacrifice X creatures, target player draws X cards and gains X life. Put X +1/+1 counters on Crave the Unredeemed. Okay, so obviously they work very well together, and they create this feedback loop, which is actually pretty awesome. Not to mention, too, the tokens are warriors, and there's definitely a warrior theme. If you watched yesterday's video, you know that. But also, we'll see a lot more warriors today, too, don't worry. The cards, obviously, will be fantastic and limited in this environment, and if you're able to draft these, then wonderful. You and your partner are going to have some very powerful creatures coming out maybe the middle to later portion of the game, that if the opponents don't have an answer to kind of break up this loop, they're in for a bad day, basically. When it comes to Commander, this is actually a pretty cool Orzhov Commander pairing that you might choose to use as your Commander, because, I don't know, I can't think of a lot of fantastic Orzhov Commanders. There's a few, but this is definitely worth trying out and running, no doubt. Arena Rector. This one's a mythic, and it's a playoff Academy Rector. It's a white and 3, creature, human, cleric, 1/2. When this dies, you may exile it. If you do, search your library for a Planeswalker card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library? What? Okay, so in the limited game, obviously, the odds of you having a Planeswalker aren't super high, especially if you already opened this mythic. If you do, if you open this and you happen to open the 2 Planeswalkers we saw yesterday, well, wonderful. Have a good time. Even though there are 3 different colors, I'm sure you'll make it work, because that's actually kind of sweet. This is very splashable, obviously. So, outside of that, though, Commander, yeah, this is awesome. Like, casual play just generally. Commander, cubes, whatever, just kitchen table Magic. Being able to put this out, you're going to want a sack outlet for it. I mean, this costs 4 for 1/2. Your opponent's not going to just let it die. They'll take the 1 point of damage if you attack with it or something. So you'll want a way to get rid of it that's probably built into your strategy. But if you can do it and just throw a Planeswalker directly in play, that's kind of amazing. This is going to be a mythic that I think a lot of casual players will be looking for. This could be a highly sought after card from the set, actually. Regna's Sanction. Alright, this is one of those friend or foe cards. A white and 3, sorcery rare. For each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature they control. Each foe chooses 1 untapped creature they control, then taps the rest. Okay, 4 mana here. And again, I'm going to start with Commander this time, because think of it this way. Big multiplayer game, you have a lot of creatures, maybe you're in Selesnya tokens or something. You play this, you put +1/+1 counters on all your stuff, and you make everybody else at the table tap everything but one thing. That could be game ending under certain circumstances. Now, if you don't have the board presence to do that, you can do other things with this too. Like, for example, if someone's really far ahead, you make them the foe, everyone else the friend, and kind of team up to put that person back a little bit. That's another way to look at this. I love these political cards, and you see a lot of them in this set because it makes sense. You have the team situation on one hand when it comes to limited, but then you're going to take these cards and probably play Commander with them, and it totally changes things up a little bit. Now, for limited, this is also a fantastic card, probably easily first pickable, because once you get any kind of board presence, this could close out a game for you, and that's kind of crazy for just 4 mana. I really like this one a lot. I think this is going to be another very hot rare. Game plan. Blue and 5, sorcery. This one is a rare. It has assist. Each player shuffles their hand, a graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. Exile game plan. So it's your Time Twister effect. It costs 6. It is splashable though, so that's worth noting. Now, the assist allows you to get it out a little bit earlier. So if you're playing limited, and let's say you fall behind or something and you want to time twist, well, you can do it probably relatively early, maybe even as early as turn 3 if you and your partner both put their mana into this. Although, I don't know how you know by turn 3 you're really that far behind, unless you had to mulligan a bunch of times or something, I don't know. So, there's that, I suppose. My hope is there's some other payouts in limited for this, like some sort of thing that penalizes your opponent for drawing cards or something like that. We haven't really quite seen that yet, but there's still a lot more of the set to go. Aside from that, though, this carries over nicely into Commander 2. I mean, we've all played those games where people have those Time Twister effects and they're kind of like, hey, who wants a new hand? Well, this allows you to actually say, who wants a new hand? Oh, will you help me pay for that? And you can get a little bit of a discount, which is kind of nice because a lot of times when you play an effect like this and you draw 7 new cards, you're the last person to actually be able to benefit from that. Everyone else starts putting their stuff out first because you had to use the mana on this. But if someone else would go kind of half and half with you, you might be able to cast something and you don't feel like you've fallen behind. That's kind of cool. Saltwater Stalwart. This is a blue and 3 Merfolk Warrior common 2/4. And when this deals damage to an opponent, target player draws a card. I'll say, a forecasting cost 2/4 with this ability isn't super exciting to me because sometimes it's going to be hard to get across, especially in a 2-headed giant game or a commander game. It just feels like it's a little counterintuitive. With that being said, though, if there's some way to enhance this to be able to ping or something because it is not combat damage, well, then it gets a lot better. I would imagine there's something like that in the set we haven't seen yet, and if that's the case, well, this card becomes very playable. If not, the only reason I might actually play it is if I'm playing warriors or warrior synergies. I like the fact that you're finding warriors, actually, it appears in all the colors. I mean, we saw the white creature earlier that's going to create warrior tokens, and there's actually warriors now that have shown up in all the colors, including blue, as you see here. We saw one yesterday, too, in blue. So that's actually smart when it comes to the 2-headed giant game, because I could be playing, a white-green deck, and my opponent could be playing black-red, and we might all have some contribution to the warrior synergies. That's actually kind of sweet. This is also a merfolk, although I don't think that's super relevant for the most part, considering the casting cost and size and ability here isn't anything that's amazing. You're not going to throw this necessarily into a legacy merfolk deck or anything. You might not even want to throw this into your commander merfolk deck because there's so many good choices out there, but it is a merfolk that could matter. Sickle Dancer, black and 2, human warrior, common, 3/2. When this attacks, if your team controls another warrior, this gets +1/+1 till end of turn. And here's one of those warrior synergy cards. The tighter synergies do appear to be in Rakdos colors, like the ones that are really going to feed off other things. But again, there's a lot of support coming from the other colors too. This is fine. I mean, a 3/2 for 3 isn't super exciting just on its own because you have to think, well, many times this could trade down for a 2/2 for 2 or something like that. However, if you have other warriors, this becomes a lot better. I might not see myself running this if we don't have a number of warriors between the two of our decks in Limited. In Commander, again, if you're trying to build Warrior Tribal, there's going to be a lot of options for you in this set. Thrasher Brute, another warrior card here. This is a black and 3 Orc Warrior this time, uncommon 4/3. When this or another warrior enters the battlefield under your team's control, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Okay, so this is another big warrior payout, and it could be used in Commander. Definitely will be strong, I think, in the limited game as long as you have enough warriors in your 2 decks. Also, you don't want to discount. You're getting a 4/3 for 4 here. That is not bad either. This can get in and beat if it needs to. Alright, our next card comes to us from a Japanese preview card, and loosely translated, it's Vertaz's Virtue. A black and 2 sorcery. For each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend returns a creature card from their graveyard to their hands. Each foe sacrifices a creature. So maybe not as impactful as the one we saw a moment ago, but this one is not bad either. Being able to return something you need from the graveyard to your hand is kind of nice. It doesn't go right into the battlefield or anything. This one's a little calmer. But at the same time, this can sometimes work as removal for you. Granted, it's edict-style removal, which can be a little inconsistent, but for 3 mana, hey, there's a lot going on with this card. I think it's very playable in Commander, as well as the limited environment. Pretty good rare. I mean, you won't see these rares obviously all the time in limited, so adjust those expectations when you open your packs. But if I were to get this, I could see myself running it, no doubt. Stolen Strategy. Red and 4. Enchantments. Rare. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-land cards from among those exiled cards, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Typically, enchantments like this make me a little nervous, because if I'm in a 1v1 game, I don't want to play this on turn 5 or 6 and take the turn off. It's a pretty critical turn, and I'm not getting anything out of it until the next turn, and even then it could miss, and then where am I, right? So normally I would say, I don't know, this card is something I might not always want to play. However, this is very different. Team games, now I have 2 different decks I'm looking at, and also I can play this, and my partner still might be able to play a creature and expand our board presence. So it doesn't feel like we're totally taking the turn off. And I do like a card like this in this type of environment. Now let's take this over to Commander. Okay, yeah, sure, you do have to cast this thing and sit on your thumbs for a little bit. However, once this starts to become active, now you're going to have to pick of the top of any of your opponent's decks. A lot less likely that you're going to miss. And that's actually kind of good there too, I think. And also, you have a lot more mana available to you in that format. So playing this for 5 doesn't mean you're not doing anything else necessarily for that turn. This could be a big play. It also could turn a lot of people against you, so you want to have some defense around you. But yeah, this is something I would definitely be interested in. The crowd goes wild. Green and X sorcery uncommon assist. Support X. Each creature with a +1/+1 counter on it gains trample until end of turn. Wow, okay. This is just simply game ending sometimes in limited. And I think this will put an end to a lot of stalled games. Now in Commander, you could also be fortunate enough to maybe finish off the last player or last couple players with this spell too, as long as you have the board presence and the mana, of course. Maybe Selesnya token, something along those lines. You might be able to take out a couple people. Now, if you're not fortunate enough to be in that particular situation, then that's where the assist will come into play in these multiplayer games, or maybe you can work with another player to buff some of their stuff, you buff some of yours, maybe you get to take out one of the players you're both concerned about in the meantime, and that's just another way to look at this. This is going to fit into a lot of strategies that already exist. Drechsler is just one example, but there's many decks that would like to have this. One thing that has come up too since the card was revealed, some people have been trying to figure out like how the assist and the X work together. Basically what would happen is just like the other assist spells, you're going to reveal it. You're going to choose what you want the X to be, and then you'll choose the player that you want to work with, and that player will decide how much they want to spend of the X. And if it's enough and you're okay with that, then wonderful, you spend the rest and the spell will resolve. If they don't want to contribute enough to help you in that case, then you just take the spell back to your hand and nothing happens. No harm, no foul. Overall, this is very powerful, and it will create these moments where you feel like the crowd's going wild, right? This could be a huge, huge swing when you draw this card. Our next card comes to us from a Chinese simplified language preview. Loosely translated, it is Generous Sponsor. A green and 2, Alpha Advisor, 1/4. This one is a rare as well. And when this enters the battlefield, you get to support 2. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature you don't control, draw a card. Okay, first thing I need to point out here, it is not +1/+1 counters. I mean, that's what you think of initially because it has support. However, you could be putting -1/-1 counters or something else on other people's creatures and still drawing cards. And it's kind of win-win. Well, for you anyway, not for them. And you could play this with, say, Hephetra and Commander. That's what I want to do, actually. I think that could be super sweet. So even if you're not getting tricky and doing stuff like that, bringing this in as a 1/4 for 3 and support 2 is actually kind of crazy. Let's say your partner in the limited game has 2 creatures out. I play this for 3, buff both their creatures, draw 2 cards. What, for a green and 2? That's kind of awesome. Again, it's a rare. I mean, adjust expectations as far as to how often you see it. But when you do see it, this is extremely, extremely playable. Even if you're behind and don't have any other creatures on your team, this is still coming in as a 2/5 for 3, and it's also replacing itself. This card's fantastic. Jungle Wayfinder. This is a green and 2, Alpha Warrior, common 3/3. When this enters the battlefield, each player may search their library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into their hand, then shuffle their library. First off, this is a warrior, definitely worth noting. Also has nice stats, 3 casting costs, 3/3. That's not bad at all for limited. So the thing that would actually make me a little nervous at times about this card is that reciprocal effect. And if I feel like my deck and my partner's deck are both really streamlined, and I don't feel like we need to color fix, and I don't feel that we need to necessarily ramp into anything, I might avoid this because I don't want this to help my opponents more than it's going to help us, right? So that is definitely a consideration. However, if I have some bigger things or I need to color fix or my partner does, then in that case, yeah, I'm going to run it. Or if I'm desperate for a good 3-drop sizable creature or a warrior, then I'm probably still going to run it and take the chance anyway. So most of the time, I think this card does see play. All right, let's move on to some reprints. We got some big ones today, really big reprints. And let's start off with a good one, Land Tax. One of my favorite cards. If you ever played with this card in Cube or even Commander, you know how good this is. It is back. It's at Mythic. If you wanted this in foil, as a matter of fact, you would have had to go to the Judge promo. That would have run you about $130, $140. So we're getting this now in foil in a regular set. That's awesome. Even if you wanted just the older versions of the card, I mean, Legends will run you like $60, and the other printings will run you probably $35, $40. Not a cheap card. Really good Mythic here. This will be really powerful too in Limited if you get a chance to play with it. Swords to Plowshares, uncommon again. Therese Nielsen art again. We see this printed all the time, but you know what? I'm never sad to see it. One of the best removal cards ever. It's going to be fantastic for a limited pickup. Easily first pickable, I'm sure, in many, many packs. Impulse, back again. Good card to dig, help you find what you need. They use the more recent art, which we saw from the vault, as well as the dual deck speed versus cunning. So, again, another card I'm always happy to see in our limited environments. Sower of Temptation made it in at rare, finally. This card is from Lorwyn, really could have used a reprint, was up to $10 or so. And another good casual card, fantastic in Commander. This will also be very swingy at times in the limited games. Tidesprout Tyrants, another $10 rare, not bad at all. This card was from Dissension, has never been reprinted, and here it is again with new art this time around. And this card has seen some light legacy play, but it's a fantastic Commander card too. True Name Nemesis. Finally gets a reprint. It is a Mythic, not too surprising. This was in one of the Commander 2013 decks, the one that sold out immediately all the time back when that product first came out, if you recall, if you played back then. But this card, of course, has seen extensive legacy play, a little bit of vintage play too. I like that they put it in this set, very smart for limited play, because it is a set where you're going to be playing against 2 people. So it doesn't make the card quite as broken as it possibly could be in 1v1 situations. So very smart thinking on their part to put it here as opposed to, say, a master set or something like that. But regardless, I'm just happy to see this. The original version will run you around $30. This is the first time that it will be available in foil as well. Diabolic Intent. The hits just keep on coming. This did get new art. It is here at rare, which is fantastic because if you want the original one for Plane Shift, it's going to run you about $20, $25. If you want the Invocation, that's going to run you $50, $60 easily. So yeah, this is another fantastic inclusion when it comes to value, and it's a great card too. Boldware Intimidator. This isn't an expensive card. It's been reprinted a few times. However, it's a pretty interesting uncommon here because it does interact with warriors, which are a big theme in the set, so a really good place to reprint this one. Chain Lightning. Wow. Okay, this card is an awesome pauper card, really good there, and has seen Legacy Burn play as well. It is uncommon. It was uncommon in Eternal Masters as well, but those copies now still run you $4 or $5, which is kind of crazy. So this is a really nice value uncommon to have in the set. Awesome card too, by the way, like most of these reprints if you're just playing casually or playing in limited. Veteran Explorer. This one's kind of interesting because it's been reprinted a few times, most recently Commander 2016. It gets new art here, but this is actually the first time it will be available in foil. So again, another new to foil card. Now this one, much like the card we saw a few moments ago, I might be a little apprehensive to play it in limited some of the time if I feel like my deck and my partner's deck's too streamlined and too focused, and I don't want to help my opponent out. But there will be plenty of times where you're going to be thinking about color fixing and ramp, and this will be just fine for you. Vigor, another great reprint at rare. If you want the older copies of this card, they're going to run you close to $20. And it's a powerful card. Granted, in limited, that 3 on color might be an issue from time to time, but if you feel comfortable casting it in your deck or your partner's deck, go for it because it's a very, very good. Okay, so those are the previews for today. After seeing the previews over the last 24 hours, I'm very excited for this set, especially some of these reprints have been crazy. And this is a super Commander-centric set. Yeah, I know it's a two-headed giant set, and you will go to the game store the first week, the second week, play a little two-headed giant, have a good time. But when that's all said and done, these cards are going to be in your collection, and you're going to be throwing them in commander decks left and right. There's a lot of popular builds out there that would love to have some of these cards. Cubes as well. If you're a cube player, this is going to be a great set for you. So I get it. If you're a modern or standard player, maybe there's not a ton for you here. But the casual players are going to love this set, I think, from what we've seen over the last couple of days. Until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.